Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel with Beck. Today I have some exciting stuff going on. So if you watch my Vlogmas, which by the way, it feels weird that I'm not recording a vlog every day anymore, but I guess I'll just do frequent uploads while I have the energy. So today we're going to talk about my upcoming blanket pattern. I heard that you want more blanket patterns, and you know, I will deliver. So I've had this idea for a little bit now. It started when I went to Florida and I met up with my friend, and he is obsessed with Sparkledogs and just like glitter, rainbow, a bunch of stuff that's like really eye-catching and fun. And so one of the things in the furry community that is pretty popular is called a Sparkledog. And I do have an example of this right here. This is my character, Rocket. They're a Sparkledog. So basically they're very, well, the badge here has sparkles over it, but the idea is that they're very flashy, eye-catching characters. Usually they're dogs, but they can be any kind of animal, really. You can be like a sparkle hyena. Also, shout out to Latte Cat Creations for making this badge. You can hit them up if you want your own badge. But yeah, this is a Sparkledog. Just very fun design of a character. It's kind of similar to the whole like Ita bag thing, where like it's so eye-catching and flashy that it hurts. So yes, that's what that is, and this is the inspiration for the pattern. Also, I forgot to mention it while I was initially filming, but the name of the pattern is Sparkledog Soiree, which means Sparkledog Party, which I think fits the vibe a lot. Right, baby? She's mad because I got her eye crusty off. I mentioned in my last few videos, or I don't even remember when it was that I was talking about it, but I wanted to make a blanket pattern that you could make in strips. That way, if you want to, you can give up on the blanket and have a scarf or several scarves. So even if you only make 2 out of the 7 panels, you have 2 scarves instead of a failed whip. So let's look at my design so far. I started out with the spike granny stitch square. I know that there are some patterns for this out there, but I didn't want to like step on anyone's toes, so I just sat down with my yarn and hook and came up with this version myself. You can see that the spike stitches are actually worked over an entire other double crochet, so it's very like thick and warm. And for this one I just did a color gradient, and I only did 4 colors, but the final one is gonna be like 6 colors, I think, to tie into the rainbow theme, because there's 6 main colors of the rainbow. But yeah, so here's my square, and I figure we'll make 6 of these, but with 6 rounds, and join them together, and that could be our first panel or scarf. Then I really wanted to design the Sparkledog element, so I went on Stitch Fiddle and I started messing around with the graph building capabilities, and I came up with this, which is a little doggy with sparkles around it. And I really like how this one came out. Here's the back side. This is done in mosaic crochet, which if you haven't done before, it's actually really simple. It's just singles and doubles, and you either do them in the back loop, both loops, or the front loop, depending on if it's like a border stitch or all that, but I'll explain that in the like pattern and videos that I do on it later. But this is just a sample, so this is only like 1 repeat, and this is like the very first edition, so the actual finished like pattern will have a little bit different of a design than this, but the doggy is staying the same. I used that Big Twist living yarn for the contrast color, and it looks really cool. It definitely has a vibe of a Sparkledog. And you can see that the mosaic crochet leaves you with a lot of this like stuff hanging off, because you have to start at the same point of the row. You don't turn your work, you just shift it. So you end up with a lot of tails, but if you imagine that like this is one of like, I think it was gonna be like 6 or 7 dogs, and they're all attached, and then this is your like fringe on the end for your scarf. And if it's going to be a blanket, I'm going to give you an option to like cover the ends so you don't have to weave them all, but I just am really happy with how this chart came out. The only thing I didn't like is that you might be able to see that there are some like single crochets baked in here that aren't really showing up that much, and I didn't really like that you can't really see them. So I did a little bit of problem solving, and y'all, this is the smallest swatch I've ever made. So, okay, I did the same technique. This is mosaic crochet where every other row is in the other color, and it's just simple like singles and doubles. But instead of doing a single at very specific points, I'm doing a treble crochet, and you can see that it is like folded on itself. So it's a tall stitch, but it's poking out because it is folded on itself, because in that row on top, I have you catch the top of it like that so that it's, you know, nice and secure and it pops out. So if you can just imagine this swatch, whoa, but with these little poking out bits, I think you'll be able to see the color a lot better, which is important because it's a color-based project. Now, I wanted to do a V-stitch on this project because it's one of the patterns that I draw a lot when I do draw Sparkledogs or like design them. So I basically went to make a swatch of that, and a V-stitch is nice. It's very quick and easy, but it's kind of airy, and I felt like that didn't really go with the rest of the blanket because we have like the grannies, which have thick parts. Mosaic itself is pretty thick because there's like kind of like 2 layers on it. So I did want it to be shaped like V's or like a zigzag, but instead of doing a traditional V-stitch, I just did these little, what are these called? I guess they're technically a bobble, but there's not enough like in them to make it bubble out. So it's kind of like a cluster. And oh my gosh, figuring out the math for this one just broke my brain, but I got there in the end. So what I'm thinking is, so like where the white is where I would do black, and then the other colors I would alternate in between with like the color changing yarn, which I'll show you my yarn choice in a second. But that was the V-stitch section. I also wanted to do a panel of just sparkles, and this is what I came up with for that. Again, this is the first draft. I think in the final version, I'm putting some of those treble crochet, like pokey outy spots in here as well. And I did decide to put one of these little crosses on the center of this one. So that's this one. And again, if you just wanted to make a sparkly scarf, you could just make this panel and leave the fringe and wrap it around. I'm excited that my concept is working out. But yes, this is how I spent my Christmas day, by the way. I was just making Sparkledog charts and testing them. But yes, that one is pretty simple. I think that one actually has a lot of potential as like a gift project. Like, you're so sparkly. If you have someone in your life that's a very sparkly person, you can give them a scarf with sparkles on it. But then, okay, so this one is like, I'm so crunchy today. This one is the most simple, I think, out of all these. Well, except for maybe the V-stitch. But this one is just so satisfying to make up. Boom, checkers. And originally I was gonna do alternating of 2 double crochet and changing, but I felt like that was kind of a lot, and especially because this sample yarn is a 4 weight and the weight I'm going to use to design the pattern is actually a 3, I thought that would be a pain in the butt. So we're not doing that. We're going to be doing these, which is 2 rows with like 4 doubles in each section, and then you just carry your yarn underneath so that the back side is fine, because I know people don't like to have things hanging off the back. That was one of the complaints with my like camp blanket, and the whole point of that one was that it would be fast. So you kind of like, you can work into the chains on that one, but you don't have to. But this one, you know, it was just a loose piece of yarn and you need it for later in the row. So that's how that one went. So we're going with this top bigger pattern for the actual design. Now, what you've all been waiting for, my yarn choice. I kind of hyped this up before. Ta-da! Here's my contrast. Actually, I don't remember if I said in the pattern whether the black was the contrast or not. This is just the Lion brand Pound of Love. I got this on like mega sale. It was before Black Friday, but I remember seeing it and being like, I want to have that on hand for when I make my big colorful blanket. So I have this one, and then I also have, and I don't think I'm going to use all 3 of these, but I have 3 Lion brand mandala bonus bundle, and this color is called Giant, and it's pretty swag. I like this rainbow. They do have all the actual like rainbow colors. I'm not sure if I want to manipulate the colors at all. I think what I may do is work from the ball for one of these, see how it comes out. If it changes like every 2 or 3 rows, I think that'll be cool. But I don't want this, I want each panel to have like a full rainbow in it. I might change my mind on that, but I know for this section I am gonna manipulate because I want it to be alternating just different colors. And then for the grannies, obviously you want each row to be a different color, so I'm gonna have to cut. So I might go ahead and split one of these into smaller cakes to start with, to have that to work out of, and then use this like straight from the cake and see how it goes. But yes, that's what I've been working on this Christmas. I hope you're excited. I am planning on doing video tutorials, and I think the pattern itself is probably going to be like $6. It is a lot of work, and it's technically a bunch of different patterns in one. There's scarf patterns, but it's also a blanket, but you know, whatever. I think the hardest part of the design so far was just figuring out the multiples, because especially with like making my own charts and stitches and stuff, like when I designed the dog, I just made the sample. I didn't know whether this multiple of a repeat would fit perfectly with the same multiple of the V's or the sparkle chart. So I kind of had to be like, okay, starting from the granny square, how many stitches are on each side, because that will be like the part you sew it to is like the top of the square. And then I also had to account for like when you sew this to the other square, I'm adding a stitch there because I don't want it to like have a lump. I don't know how to explain that. You know what I mean. So I had to find a magic number. I did find a number that works for these, because you know these are always going to be the same size. They're not going to change the number of stitches on here. And then I just worked from there, brought in a border section on each of the mosaic charts, and then just slapped as many doggies in the middle that I could. And yeah, that's it. I'm gonna hang up now because I want to go work on this. So I will see you in my next video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more, and click the bell because YouTube doesn't work if you don't. I love that feature. Thank you for watching. Bye. P.S. Look how many hats I made on my Centro within one day of owning it. I'm crazy and my arms hurt.